So for my latest video, I just wanted to talk about the importance of seeking the right professional help. You guys know that in all of my videos, I make sure to tell you guys I'm not a doctor, and that one of the very best ways to get better from anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, any of these anxiety spectrum conditions, is to seek professional help. Seek the help of a professional. Now, in this video, I'm going to give you a couple of things. I'm going to give you some things to look for in a mental health professional, but I'm also going to tell you some of the things that have happened to me in the last 21 years. And, you know, maybe if you guys notice these things from somebody that you're dealing with or maybe forced to deal with because of insurance, it might be a good clue to maybe seek some other one, another mental health professional. Because the worst thing you want to do is to get help from somebody who's not good at their job, or worse yet, doesn't care about their job. But before I get into that, a couple of suggestions. For one thing, I would say, I know that, you know, telehealth and computer health is a big thing. Now, insurance companies love it because they can, you know, accommodate people, more people, and, you know, they can use people from out of state. It's a way to pool the resources, and it makes life easier for them. And you absolutely can get treated this way successfully. And even right now, that is the way that my appointments are set up. So it's not like this is not something that will work. But I would just say, if this is your first time going to see a mental health professional, it would probably be good to see them in person. I think you can read them better in person, but more importantly, I think they can read you better in person. I think we're all pretty good, maybe not all of us, but some of us are really good at, you know, putting on a facade for, you know, a camera or a desktop or even on the phone. I think that they should probably have eyes on you, at least initially, so that they can get a good idea as to where you're really at. Again, there may be, for insurance reasons, you guys might not be able to do it this way, but that's one suggestion I have. Try to see somebody in person, at least initially. If that's not possible, though, getting help on the computer or on a telephone is better than not getting help. So just want to make that clear. Now, when you do have an appointment for the first time, now, if you're having mental health issues for the first time in your life, or even if you've battled them for a long time, it can be really uncomfortable discussing these issues with a stranger. I also feel like for men, and again, women too, nobody, I don't believe, really wants to pour their heart out or tell a stranger what's been going on with them. But if they are worth a grain of salt, they will, you need to be open and honest with them, and you won't be telling them anything they haven't heard before. I know that you feel like probably, well, I got to be the only person in the world that is dealing with this issue, or at least in this way. And, you know, it can be embarrassing, especially, you know, like I said, for a man. It's such an admission of weakness. At least that's how you'll feel. But that's not the way you should feel, because the only way they're going to be able to know exactly what's going on and to whether they're prescribing medicine or they're going to prescribe therapy for you, some type of therapy, they need to know all of what's going on. You know, I'm not talking about specific details of intrusive thought OCD, although in some instances that might be appropriate. But anything else, whether it has to do with how depression is making you feel, certainly if you're having any suicidal ideations, if you're, if it's inhibiting your life, if you're changing your life because of this mental health condition, whether it's anxiety, panic disorder, depression, make sure you tell them how it's affecting you. Be completely open. Again, if they are good at their profession, you won't surprise them, and you will enable them to give you the right type of treatment. The last thing you want to do is hold back when you've already worked up the courage to go and tell a stranger about these mental health issues you're dealing with. Follow through. Do it all. Get all of your problems out in the open. That's how you're going to get better. That's how they're going to be able to treat you the best, the most successfully. So this is really important. And then follow their directions, whether it's medication, whether it's dosage, whether it's some type of cognitive therapy that they're suggesting, or they want you to write something in a journal. Whatever, follow their directions. There's a reason why they're giving you these directions. And if you're like me, and I believe, a lot of us share the same mental outlook, if you will, about things, you're going to want to know why. And if they're decent, if they're good at their job, they're going to tell you why. They'll explain it to you. So, don't hold back. The last thing you want to do is go through this thing that takes so much courage to go talk to a stranger about mental health issues and then not be completely candid, open, and frank. You want to make sure they know everything that's going on with you. Now, having said what I've said, it is possible that you will encounter somebody who is not good, who is not a good mental health professional. I have seen different people because of different insurance issues, et cetera, over the years. In the last 21 years, only twice have I had to deal with people that I believe were really in the wrong profession, and that they probably were doing more harm than good by being in the mental health field. That happened to me. Unfortunately, the first time it happened to me, it was the first time I went to seek help. And this gentleman, I believe, again, just from the way our interactions went, I believe he was in it just purely to make money. I don't believe he had the best interest of the patient at heart. He was clearly not listening while I was talking, and I could tell. And that's very frustrating. We're not talking about, by the way, when I say listening, we're not talking about when you're saying something that they know is part of the mental health issue and they might not be reacting to it. That's different. Whether you're talking about a symptom or that could be a sign that they're a very good mental health professional. But if you can tell that they're preoccupied with something else and they're not engaged with you, that's not somebody that's going to help you. Because the only way to help somebody with mental health issues is to listen to what the problem is so that you can prescribe the correct treatment. Whether it's cognitive therapy, whether it's medication, they need to be engaged, to listen, to be observant enough to know what the right course of action is. And unfortunately, the first gentleman I saw was not. And it was it just was a very bad experience. Without going too much into detail, it was so much like the things you'll see in the movies where there's a guy, texting someone else or doodling or, just completely ignoring the patient, and then spins around at the end acting like, they actually were listening. This happened to me in real life, and it was hard to believe that it did, but, that's not going to help you. And if you notice somebody like that, this is your mental health. So anytime, and I would suggest this with any health issues, but if you don't feel as though the person is invested in the outcome, in a favorable outcome for you, find someone else. You want to get better. You don't want to be, and that gets me to my next thing that you want to look out for. If they're in a hurry to prescribe you multiple drugs. Now, that's a little bit of a catchy thing to say because certain drugs work really well in tandem. So there could be 2 drugs that they prescribe initially that actually work really well in tandem. So that is possible. A lot of the time, depending on your symptoms, if you're having severe anxiety, they might prescribe, or panic attacks, they might prescribe some type of benzodiazepine and along with it an SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And sometimes those do work well together, especially if you're really, basically unable to function. It can get you back down. But if they seem determined to push medication, especially newer medication that's very new on the market, I would be hesitant with that, with that type of situation. And I know a lot of the time the way things are set up now with mental health, especially since COVID, is they'll have a therapist and they'll have a prescriber. So they might not be the same person, and it can complicate things a little bit. But you definitely don't want to deal with somebody who seems like they're working in concert with drug companies more than they're focused on the outcome, your outcome with your mental health. And again, unfortunately, I have run into people who, that the first guy seemed that way. And then right at the beginning of the pandemic, I encountered another person that was involved in mental health that shouldn't have been. Again, the doctor I'd seen for years was retiring, and I could no longer see him. So I had to, and because of the insurance, I had a limited pool that I could, see. And this person was just horrible at their job. So they, without getting into some long story about it, on one visit, they yelled at me for, weaning down on medication. And then on the very next visit, they acted as though I was trying to get them to prescribe me drugs, which most of us with anxiety issues, we're not in a hurry to take pills. I've never been in a hurry to take pills. I have loads of pills from over the years that I never have even used. And I'll bet you there's a lot of you out there that are the same way. So it just struck me as, this person, he obviously hadn't remembered the previous visit. And when somebody's, has that little invested in the patient, where they say the exact opposite thing at the next appointment, then you have to wonder, what's going on there? Do they even care about their job? Was he just overwhelmed? Maybe, I don't know. But, all I was saying was that I had run out of a script. That was it. And then for him to act as though, and I do understand, there are people that go to see mental health professionals strictly to get drugs. That does happen. I don't think it happens that often with anxiety. I think that, maybe a little more with depression. You'll see people might claim to be depressed and, not really show any manifestations. But if you're having either way, whether you're having anxiety, depression, whatever it is, in general, I think the vast majority of people who are willing to, put their pride aside to see a mental health professional are not going there to get drugs. And I also think that if you're very discerning at all as a mental health professional, you'll be able to ascertain pretty quickly whether or not this person has come to see you to secure medication rather than to get help for a mental health condition. So, one other anecdote along those lines, somebody who's close to me who worked up the courage, again, they struggle very much with social anxiety. You frequently hear them say that they hate people. And they worked up the courage, this is probably almost 25 years ago now, to go and see a mental health professional. And unfortunately, it was the one that the county, because of the insurance he had at the time, they sent him to the county mental health person. And it was a disaster. He went in there, of course, he had severe depression. He went in there and the gentleman looked at him and said, "Oh, you don't look depressed." He goes, "You're shaved, your clothes are clean." So, this was unbelievable. It was a very, very unfortunate experience. This person's never gone back to seek mental health help again. So that's the kind of effect that somebody who's involved in mental health, who shouldn't be, can have on a person. And it's really unfortunate. If you get somebody, when you're going to seek help, if you get somebody that you feel doesn't care about their job, doesn't care about you as a person, doesn't care about the outcome, get out of there. Run out of there. It's not gonna work out well. So you don't want somebody who's clearly in it for the wrong reasons. And unfortunately, it is possible to encounter somebody like that, as I've mentioned in this video. So I didn't want to make a very long video. It's already gone longer than I wanted it to. Just make sure, number one, that you put your pride aside and get the help you need, number one. Listen to their directions. Follow what they tell you to the best of your ability. Be honest and open with them. And then if you have the unfortunate, luck where you encounter somebody who is in the wrong field, or, maybe even seems like they have nefarious motives, just leave. Just find someone else. Most insurance companies won't just have one person you can see. So don't waste your time. The worst thing, you waste your time if you don't get treated, but it can be even worse if you get treated incorrectly. And again, normally people with these mental health conditions, we're pretty socially intelligent. So you'll probably be able to tell within a few minutes if this person really cares about the outcome. And as long as they do, obviously, and they have credentials. Another thing you can do that's a good idea, look up their reviews on the internet. Now, again, they can be very polarizing because some people, are struggling with things that are, hard to deal with, and they might get put off by somebody really quickly. Or they might get told something that, you know, they didn't want to hear. So you might get, but still, I think you can get an idea. If there's 50 reviews on somebody, you'll get a really good idea about their bedside manner and about whether or not they're doing this for the right reasons. So I just wanted to get this out there because it is such a scary proposition, right? To go and talk to a stranger about your mental health. It is. But it's very important as well because I went 6 years. Let's say I saw that gentleman about 3 years in, maybe 2.5. And I went another 3.5 years before I saw another mental health professional. And that's what happens when you have a bad experience. So now, why I'm making the video is because of how important it is to get help. And also, if you do happen to get linked up with somebody who's not good or you don't think really has your best interest at heart, don't opt out of mental health help. Just find somebody else. Hopefully this video is a benefit because, again, I see, especially men, they're very reticent, very reluctant to talk to a stranger about mental health issues. And it was really hard for me. And it's still not easy for me to talk to somebody about the issues I've had. Now, after, let's see, I've seen a mental health professional consistently now since 2009. So 15 years. I've gotten pretty good at dealing with it. And usually I only have to see somebody every 3 months or so. But it's, I thought the video was worth making because it's a scary proposition, but it's an important one. And it's important that you're dealing with somebody who cares and who's going to actually help you. So hopefully some of the stuff that I mentioned here will help you work up the courage if you need to go see a mental health professional. Also, if you have gone and seen somebody in the past and they were terrible, hopefully this inspires you to go and try to find someone else, not to just give up. And again, how do you know if you need to seek help? If it's inhibiting your life, if it's changing your life, if it's diminishing your life, then you know you need professional help. So anyways, I just want to thank everybody so much for all the support for the channel. It's been really great. Again, I'm going to try to improve the quality and the content of my videos. It's a work in process. It's a work in progress, rather. But I do have plans and ideas to hopefully improve both. I just want to also, if you know anybody out there who's dealing with these issues, make sure to share it with them or let them know about it. Let them know about the channel, and maybe they can find something that'll benefit them. That's the whole reason I'm doing this, because again, for a very long time, I struggled with this untreated. And, ever since I got the correct treatment, my life has been so much better, exponentially better. Even though I've had a couple of relapses, I'm so grateful for the last 15 years. Because the 6 before that, I wouldn't be here if the last 15 were like those 6. Just absolutely no chance of it. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. And until my next video, take care.